The UN and NATO say they'll hold emergency talks on Friday over the unrest in Libya. A joint French-British draft resolution will be tabled asking for an arms embargo, financial sanctions, and a request to the International Criminal Court to indict Libyan leaders for crimes against humanity. Germany is also calling for travel bans to be imposed on the family of Muammar Gaddafi and for their overseas funds to be frozen. And the Libyan government has announced through state television an increase in wages and food subsidies. It's been more than a month since the ousting of Tunisia's President Zain Al Abidine bin Ali. But many Tunisians say they've yet to see the benefits. Nazneen Moshiri reports from Qafsa, a region known for its phosphate mines and its revolts against bin Ali's regime.
This is a place where rebellion still hangs in the air. The words above these graves, the unemployed and the forgotten. This is at the heart of their protest. They want jobs and for the government in Tunis to stop ignoring their plight.
I feel excluded and oppressed, like I'm missing hundreds of things from my life. We see our wealth leaving this area, millions of dollars, and we are getting nothing.
The wealth is in the ground, in the phosphate mines which dominate the landscape. The government-run company makes millions of dollars a day selling this mineral abroad. Yet this is one of the poorest regions in Tunisia. In 2008, 3 years before the Jasmine Revolution, people here revolted. But their uprising was brutally suppressed. All of these men, more than 50 of them, were beaten and imprisoned.
The protests back then were censored. There was no media, no Facebook here. People were too scared to tell our story because the regime was too strong.
In the same village, we meet graduates in their late 20s who've never worked a day in their lives. They have a choice: either stay here, unable to get married or earn money, or try to migrate to Europe. This is a region on the economic and social edge of Tunisia. People here feel disconnected with events in Tunis and the country's transition to democracy. Ben Ali and his political police may be gone, but there's still a deep sense of injustice here. Ben Ali's departure is just the beginning for this new nation. The transitional government must take notice of what's happening in Qafsa. The root causes of this revolution are not resolved. Nazneen Moshiri, AlJazeera, Qafsa, in southern Tunisia.
Pakistan. American security contractor accused of killing 2 local men is going ahead on Friday. Security was tight at the high-security jail where Raymond Davis is being held and where the hearing is thought to be taking place. The case has created tension between the US and Pakistan. Washington insists that Davis he has diplomatic immunity and should be released. In the US, the Wisconsin State Assembly has approved a Republican proposal to curb the collective bargaining rights of public sector unions. The debate has generated widespread demonstrations. Tens of thousands of government employees oppose the plan. Wisconsin's governor, a Republican, says the measure is critical to restoring the state's financial health. Talking about financial health, the polls have opened in Ireland for the first general election since a major financial bailout by the EU and the IMF. Rory Challens is live for us in Dublin. Rory, it's all about the economy, isn't it?
Yes, it is, and people are angry about that. It's about 3.1 million voters are registered here. It's expected to be a high turnout, although we haven't seen too many people at this voting station behind me here. The man in charge said about 60 or 70 have turned up so far this morning. Now, this is an election that Ireland shouldn't really be having yet. It was called early because of all that outrage over the banking crisis and the $115 billion loan that Ireland was forced to accept at the end of last year. And the voters hold one party responsible for all that. That's Fianna Fáil, which has dominated Irish politics really for decades and decades. They are heading for their worst ever electoral result, if you believe what the polls are saying. So that is good news for Fine Gael, the rivals. They may not have quite enough votes to form an outright majority. They may have to do a bit of horse trading to form a coalition, either with some independents or with Labour. But whoever gets in, it's going to be a very, very tough few years ahead for both the politicians and for the Irish public, because there are austerity measures and very, very tough times coming up.
If the ruling party does lose spectacularly in these elections, it would seem to vindicate those who said that they held a gun to the heads of the Irish people, basically, and acquiesced to the IMF and the EU with regards to those bailouts, right?
Well, it will certainly be punishment for the party that most people feel is responsible for the situation that Ireland is in at the moment. All the parties here are saying that they want to renegotiate the terms of the bailout. But the economists that I've been speaking to have really been saying that that's not really feasible, that the deal that Ireland has is the deal that it's going to have going forward. So really, whoever wins is not going to have that much room for manoeuvre, Imran.
Thanks a lot for that, Rory. We will no doubt hear more from you later on in the day. Now, after 4 days of searching, hopes of finding more survivors of the earthquake in New Zealand are fading. Rescue crews are scouring the rubble, but the threat of aftershocks is hampering the operation. Tanya Page has the very latest from Christchurch.
We're outside the central business district, the worst affected area, but even here in the suburbs you can see what sort of damage has been wrought by Tuesday's earthquake. If we look up at this shop front, the whole thing has been ripped off and it's just lying on the footpath in a pile of bricks and twisted metal. Up there on the right, what looks like it could be a decoration or a prop shop perhaps. Down here in the middle, a clothing store, all the stock just exposed to the elements. And back up top, maybe it looks like the back of a shoe store perhaps. The whole area really is just, you know, it's a total mess. There's been a bit of rain here in Christchurch that's slowing down the clean-up operation and the rescue operation, but so are the aftershocks. The Earthquake Commission says there could be up to 10 4 to 5 magnitude aftershocks and about 100 magnitude 3 aftershocks. And if you look just up there in the corner, more devastation on this block of shops, but ironically, right next door, a building that's escaped relatively unscathed.
The Philippines is marking 25 years since its people power revolution forced Ferdinand Marcos from power. It's being seen as both a hopeful and cautionary example for democratic movements spreading in the Middle East and North Africa. Well, for more, let's go to Marga Ortigas in Manila. Marga, sample the atmosphere for us. Is it a day of celebration?
It is. Exactly where we are is where the turning point occurred 25 years ago, which is when then President Marcos realized that he was losing the support, not just obviously of the people, but of the military that he had controlled so tightly for over 2 decades. Now, you might see behind me there are hundreds of people gathered here to witness what is being called the meeting. It is a reenactment of the exact moment when the military forces that were sent here to try to not only disperse the crowd, but also get to the mutineers who are in the military base behind me, basically couldn't do what they were ordered. They were met on the street here by nuns and priests and millions of civilians.